Fuck it, we'll do this live. Welcome to Hit or Miss.
What
Uh,
an intro.
yeah, fuck it, we'll do it live. That's how we roll in Hit or Miss. Uh, I'm Night Strike. I'm the de facto host of Hit or Miss. To my left is Hawkeye,
Hello.
and then to the left of him is Hawaii Volcano Squad.
Aloha.
All right, well, we're waiting on Sean and Smeggy to get in here. Hopefully they will. If they don't, then, it's their loss. Tonight we're going to be talking about a couple topics that have come up in the news that I just kind of poked at. Primarily, it all goes down to this. It boils down to terrorism on a whole. Okay, you know, I've always thought that the abstract thing of declaring war on something abstract like terrorism, or as G Webs has said, declaring war on glutens, because glutens are the enemy. And I fully support the war on glutens. Hashtag war on glutens. But yeah, I've never really understood the fact that why would you declare war on something abstract? It's like, you know,
Don't think of it as something abstract. Think of terrorism as something finite and definable. Terrorism is a weapon, and you don't declare a war on a weapon.
right.
Terrorism is a form of, it's a strategy and a tactic, maybe. But since this is hit or miss, I've got this hit of this Russian aircraft that got hit by a couple F-16s. So it's time to talk Turkey.
Here's the first segment of this terrorism chat as a whole. We're going to be talking about how what was it? Turkey just started World War III.
Oh, yes. Well, the Turkeys are upset about Thanksgiving, so they decided to shoot down a Russian plane and start World War III.
Oh man, that's rough.
That's a
So,
G-Webs level pun right there.
No, I think G Webs is a little more highbrow.
what?
I'm just teasing you, but yeah, I think G Webs would probably like that.
Putin can have a nice turkey sandwich for Thanksgiving because
Yeah, I think he's on to declare war on Turkey
he's got a
first.
plate full of turkey.
Yeah. All right.
Well, he needs to teach his Air Force pilots how to navigate because they keep flying into Turkey.
Yeah,
You know,
I
I
don't
mean,
know what's up
and
with
if you
that.
keep flying into turkeys, then I mean, you're gonna get your windshield all messed up with feathers and shit.
Man, them turkeys, right?
You need to issue cranberry sauce to all your pilots because they're
All
always
right.
eating turkey. I mean, it's just
Well, it's
I
it's
just
the
did
whole
my
fact that
I just did my ammo tally to count up all my ammo and I have like one bar silver and one silver eagle. So
you didn't
start
get any
buying
gold.
cartridges. I almost bought more silver and gold this morning because it dipped in the morning and then went back up later in the day. But it was under four. It was under four, just like 1390, spot silver. But then it bounced back up over. It just doesn't want to go and stay under 14. I mean,
Right.
It's really hard to call. I mean, if you look at the chart, it looks like they're supported at $9, but it just right now it's not breaking under 14. So I don't know whether the general commodities smash and crash. I mean, all the commodities are getting smashed, and oil prices are going to be rehashed at OPEC. Let's see if the Saudis are going to keep pumping oil and depress the prices. I mean, there's a huge oil glut. All the tankers, they got no place to put any more oil right now. All the tankers on the oceans are full, and you know there was a report that's saying the Saudis are gonna in the early morning. That says the Saudis are gonna they want the price to go down to $20 a barrel, and then all the commodities started falling, and then the Saudis oil minister came on and says, no, we want it to, you know, uh, go up to 40, and because they're keeping the price low to make sure Iran can't make any major money selling their oil, basically.
Right.
So this is a Sunni Arabs in the Saudis and in the Gulf states, you know, economic war against the Persians, Shia. So
All right, we're gonna get back on topic now. Now that we've had the war on turkeys, uh,
well, that's
or
Thursday technically.
Turkey's war on Russians because Russians are anti-Turkey. That's what it was.
You never. Well, they keep flying into Turkey, so
Yeah. All right. Here's the first topic that, or the first article that I saw that pertains to the whole terrorism thing, and it's DC police chief. Your best option for surviving a terror attack are the guns we deny you. And if anyone doesn't understand that, that's because a gun will probably save your life if a terrorist brings like a Kalashnikov or something. You know, if you get lucky and he doesn't shoot you first, you can shoot him first. You know, but the point is, in D.C. there's an ordinance that you're not allowed to have a gun, or was it did they strike down the you're not allowed to buy more than one gun a month or something, or something ridiculous
probably.
about that?
I
But
tried logging onto Cal Guns Net today, and it was down. So either everybody's piling in there to see what happened, or they're under attack by the Brady campaign or ISIS or something. But
right,
their whole website was down.
and I normally joke about terror. You know, if anyone wanted to attack, the United States attack these places, and I'm only joking. I don't really want any place in the United States attacked, but at the same time, terrorists are crazy. They're not in the right mindset in the first place because they're effectively brainwashed by whatever group they're part of to go and do something which is probably against their religious text, only they
Like
don't
voting
they
for
they
Barack
ignore
Obama.
that part.
What if I told you that the Muslims that aren't actively killing people are the reformed Muslims, and the ones that are not radicalized, they are fundamentalist?
So you're saying they're
Well, I'd
Old
rather have
Testament and New Testament versions of Islam?
Wow, I don't think you want to make that correlation because you might piss off some Muslims. They
Well,
might start gunning for you.
so this is the year of offense.
Yeah, no
yeah, we're
kidding.
gonna build a fence.
Are we at war or are we not at war? I'm talking
Well,
about the United States of America.
well, we never. I don't think we ever officially ended the war on terrorism, did we?
No, I mean, have we declared war against a nation?
No.
No.
Then what the hell are we doing sending bombs, troops, anything over there?
To save face. NATO's based in New York. We interject ourselves into
NATO's based in
worldly
Brussels.
affairs just so we can have a say in what happens after they're over.
Okay,
You just lost me.
when the United States is ostensibly a Christian nation and you are living in these Muslim nations, Islamic nations, whatever, and you see troops and bombers and everything from a Christian nation coming to kill people in your country, how do you not hate them?
Well,
Well, you
that's
hate.
that's
It's
assuming
like,
that the entire population is of one religion, though.
well, you're ignoring the fact that people in these lands like already hate their neighbors before we ever showed up. More, they already have. There's already plenty of fear, loathing, hatred, and wars going on before we got there.
Oh, for
We're like,
centuries. I mean, they've had their own political and religious infighting since,
it's
the
like
beginning of time.
that whole question is like jumping into the ocean to go surfing and saying, "I didn't know there were waves out here." You know,
Right.
the world is in constant motion. It's like the ocean. So
Well,
it's
I'm
an
gonna
ocean
get
of
back to
sand.
this
It's an
whole.
it's an ocean
whole
of sand, and there's people that live on these sand, and they're at war with each other already, and.
because they want the sand that looks nicer on that hill than this hill.
It's because they all think that it belongs to them.
Well, just just because we show up, and whether or not we decide to declare war on anybody is irrelevant. There's already a war there, so.
We can't declare war on anybody because we're fighting an enemy that, yes, they fly under one flag, but they are not of one nation. See, this is a war that's never really been fought before because every
Oh,
opposing
yes, it
side
has.
that the United States has ever fought has been mostly a uniformed Army, Navy, and Air Force of
Or
another nation.
government.
They're easily identifiable with a centralized, leadership role and communications network. And these guys are not that. You're trying to
So,
find an you're trying to
so
find
what
an
we need to
find an
do
ammo.
is send a bunch of free ISIS uniforms to the Middle East, and anybody that wears one, we can shoot. So we just need to drop ISIS uniforms.
I don't think that counts.
I told a joke the other day, which I think is extremely relevant. If you just took 750 KC-130 super tankers and you filled them with liquefied bacon fat and you reigned over the whole region, would they accuse you of biological warfare?
They accuse you of not being kosher.
Well, then you just arrest and capture all the ones that complain.
Wait, kosher, isn't that a Jewish thing and not a Muslim thing?
It is.
Yes, but they've heard of it. Well, yeah, but it's treif food is not kosher, so it's called treif. But Muslims know it's not kosher, and they have their own versions of things they can and can't eat too.
Halal. Has to be blessed.
So yeah, we went off on a bit of a tangent here.
We went off on a tangent, but we always do that here on Hit or Miss. That's how we roll. Yeah, about the DC police chief. So you're the only, the police chief says the only way to combat terrorism is to be armed. But unfortunately, she's also the one that denies carry permits in DC, and she's also the one that says, yeah, you're not really allowed to have firearms in DC anyways.
This is a person clearly not seeking re-election.
Well, no. It's the chief of police. They're not elected.
Yeah, that's the fucking problem. That's the same problem we have in Hawaii.
Isn't that what he just said? They're not seeking re-election. They don't have to appease
They're
anyone.
They're not seeking reappointment by the mayor then.
Right. Well, here's the thing. The mayor's the one responsible, so shouldn't the mayor be the one worried about this kind of thing?
You have to wait for the mayor to actually have a public press conference to address this then, to figure out what side he's on.
Well, this is not that much different from those run, hide, fight videos about the, I hate calling them active shooters, spree killers. They say run, hide, fight. I say run your guns, hide your bullets in their body, and fight off all the women that want to throw their vaginas at you.
You and I live in very different worlds.
Well, the one thing that concealed carriers have that active shooters don't have is the element of surprise. So the fact that they're living in a state or city-state or in a region where that's not allowed, that's the first thing that obviously needs to change, because statistically it's just a fact that, if one person in a room of 30 has one active shooter in the room, you've got 100% chance of stopping that shooter and a 50% chance of surviving it. Whereas if you had no shooter with no gun, no concealment, no element of surprise, you have a 0% chance to possibly survive that.
That goes back to my next thing. Remember back in Texas when they had the Muslim Community Center had the whole draw a picture of the Prophet Muhammad, and two armed guys with AKs tried to go in there and shoot people up, and a cop went and saw them and just headshotted both of them.
What's the point of that?
The point, I don't know if it was both of them or whatnot, but the fact that there was someone there to shoot a terrorist instead of letting them have free reign and cause, tragedies was better than not having anyone there at all.
Well, police don't need a concealed carry permit. They can open carry. So.
Now, I think this person was off duty.
My understanding was two cops in a car that were being paid for security, and they were just sitting out there, and the one guy with an AK came up and started shooting at him, and one cop got shot and the other one shot the bad guy. So that's what I remember from it. But it was a long time ago, and I've had one longboard beer, so that's what I remember. Kona Brewing Company, Island Lager.
Kona
When
Brewing
you
Company.
I
when
love
you
their coconut porter.
when you return fire on someone who did not plan for returned fire, you force them to change their plan. You interrupt their OODA loop, channeling my James Yeager here. You force them to change from what they were doing. And forcing them to change from what they are doing is a victory in itself.
Wait,
Because
that's the join link.
what they're doing is shooting fools. And if you have to if you make them stop, you succeed. You win. Period. Even if you win for just 3 seconds while they riddle you with bloody holes, you still win.
That's the right one.
How do you win if you're dead?
Now, as soon as you return fire, you've obviously caught it at a moment where they weren't focused on you, and you don't have to take him down in the first hit. The fact that you hit him is going to put him into shock because he was not expecting return fire from a room of what he thought was innocent sheep.
All right, we'll look at it at a time thing. Some really good people take 1 second to realize that it's time to draw, aim, and fire. And then when you reset their thought pattern like that, they're not really, really fast. So let's give them a second and a half. How many rounds can you shoot in a second and a half? A bunch, right?
Not me.
Depends on if I have to hit what I'm aiming at.
Yeah.
It depends if I have to hit, and it depends on if I'm carrying my 9mm or my 45.
The point being, you can still make hits, good quality hits, in a second and a half. The second and a half that it takes them to react to you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. At least you can get one definitely decently aimed shot down, as long as you're not, freaking out and your hands are shaking yourself.
Right.
There was also a theory that was put, or not a theory that was put forth, but an article that I read about an anchoring shot, where if there is a terrorist attack or an active shooter, God, I've caught myself doing that, or a spree shooter, spree killer, whatever, and you've got them down on the floor, shoot them in the head. Normal self-defense rules in these situations do not apply.
You mean if you're standing over them after you've already laid them out?
That is correct. They're on the floor. That means their blood pressure is not working. Their body is not working. But if you move away from them, maybe to engage a second target, their blood pressure can stabilize enough for them to get up and start firing at other people.
Oh,
Or-
yeah. You
or-
make sure that they're not getting back up. Absolutely.
Or detonate a suicide bomb.
Well, this is bad to say, but in that kind of situation, I'd always aim for the head, take them out on the first shot.
You don't necessarily get that option. They're not.
No,
gonna be
you never
standing
get that
perfectly
option,
still.
but you should be prepared in case you do get the option.
Okay, if you guys are going to start talking about headshots, I got to say you need to shoot him in the mouth, not in the head. I'm not being funny. I mean, the bullets can bounce off of a skull, but if you shoot him in the mouth, there's no hard
Right. The only
skull.
thing it's got to hit is the back of the spine, which will
Right.
pretty much blow out his neck, and then he's not moving.
That's
Yeah.
that's another good way to look at it.
Now, it's going to have to be a center mass shot. You want to incapacitate the guy in such a fashion that you're going to hit the largest available target that can do the most available damage.
I can
That's
tell you that
why
if you
they're-
ever want to shoot at anybody in gun channels, you should shoot them in the mouth because that's their most vulnerable spot.
I was waiting for like a Yankee poke there.
I didn't
they
mention
come.
that particular
Does-
user.
Does Yankee poke you often?
Whoa.
Come on, guys. PG-13, please.
No, I also have knives and I'd chop it off if you tried. So
Okay, but yeah, it's just that the whole thing. I don't know. Are we really prepared for multiple complex terrorist attacks? This is another article that showed up, and the way ISIS has been doing it lately, or what's their actual name? Dash or Dash or whatever.
Aish. Yeah.
Or
Daesh. That's what the Arab countries call them, Daesh.
or
That
those
means
those guys
scumbags.
those guys in head wraps and that go praise Allah and then shoot people or cut their heads off. I don't know what their names are, but I'm not trying to give them any press or anything. The fact is they've done a lot of complicated stuff lately. Like they bombed that plane of the Russians, that Russian air passenger liner,
Not all that complicated to sneak a bomb on a plane.
especially a Russian one.
Yeah, they're always in a rush, so they never check.
That's not true at all. But they've been stepping up their game, and are we really ready for them to try and attack the American population again?
Well, it doesn't matter how much they've stepped up their game. Bombs are still difficult. You're still more likely to blow yourself up making a bomb than you are to say have a lack of success with a rifle. Rifles are a lot easier to succeed with.
Yeah, the whole thing about the Paris attack that shocked me, that was just the news report is when I guess the guy with the AK had fired all his ammo, and then he went into the restaurant and put a gun to the head of one of the workers there, and the reporter said, "Oh, here's where his AK jams." I'm like, bullshit. His AK didn't jam.
He was reloading.
He was out of it. Well, he pulled the trigger and it didn't work because he didn't count to 30, or whatever. But
or it might have been the fact that he had a bad round.
the AK he was out of ammo.
It's that Tula ammo.
Blame the ammo. It's all the Russians' fault. Well, the Russians did send a dog to France to replace the police dog that got killed.
That
in
was
the
actually a
explosion.
very nice gesture.
Yeah. I'm a dog person, so.
That's the first time I ever saw the Russians being nice.
Well, remember it, because it'll be the last time you ever see the Russians being nice.
I'm not holding my breath for the next time.
If you did, this would be the last.
No,
show.
it happened before. I want to say it happened either in South America. I think it was somewhere in South America. They sent Antonov like 225 super carrier, those gigantic jets full of like relief supplies. I think it was after like an earthquake or something down there. We wouldn't do it, and they did.
But here's the thing: are we prepared to prevent or fight off an attack of the Paris bombing? That scale of an attack here in the United States.
No,
we got police and SWAT teams in most major cities.
Do we have enough people that are prepared for something like that?
No, because you're implying that it's going to be a multi-coordinated strike in multiple major cities across the country. And the only way to prevent that is if you intercept the transmissions before. Like, I think we've done that before, where we've actually
He didn't say
intercepted.
prevent it. He said, "Are they prepared for the attack?" I mean, you can't
Even
prevent
then,
every
no,
attack.
because you never know where it's coming from.
I said both, actually.
Yeah, I'm not afraid of a Paris-style attack here in the United States. I'm afraid of a Peshawar-style attack here in the United States.
The
And
only
what's
thing that
that
can
one?
happen here in the States is if they attack multiple places in the same city. We're too spread out. This place is too big.
Okay, everybody, we need all to move to one city.
Right.
No way in hell.
Yeah, we're all going to New York.
Fuck that.
No,
Let's move to Texas.
no. Let's all go to Tucson. I hear it's wonderful this time of year.
It's not
What,
bad
is it
here in Texas.
120 degrees or something?
Yeah, y'all can come to Texas. It's cool. We've got room. Maybe you can help stop making my capital bleed purple.
So you've got plenty of room for all those refugees you're not accepting.
Nope. Nope. I ain't got room for a damn one of them. I'm sorry.
We got room for Americans and Americans only.
I've got some room on some cargo planes to get rid of some Americans that are in this country, too.
Well,
Did you read that story about the clock kid?
yeah.
Demanding $15 million from the school district and the city?
Well, he's suing them from. Doesn't he? Didn't he move to like
No, and I
Qatar
have a
now?
theory on that.
He isn't in Qatar. He got free
No.
education scholarship to
He
Qatar.
started, I guess, reading about what Sharia law truly is and how strictly enforced it is. And he probably realized, his mother and father probably realized, we won't last 10 minutes there. So they decided to stay here. And once their 15 seconds of fame wore out, they decided, we're going to sue now. I think we should grant their wish. We should give them 3 first-class tickets the hell out of this country, straight to Qatar, all expenses paid to get their ass out of this country, and with their ticket book should be a certificate of renunciation of your renunciation, I think that's a word, renouncing their citizenship to the United States. Give them what they want. They wanted to leave, first class. Good luck out there.
They actually don't want to leave. In fact, the kid's father was in a court case defending the Quran in Florida.
What, did somebody sue the Quran?
No. It was like a mock court case in Florida where they say they wanted to keep the Quran out of a certain school district or whatever, and the guy's father, who also ran for the president of Qatar, I just wanted to say that he's either is running.
There's no such thing as a mock court case. There's moot court, but there's no such thing as mock court.
Was it in litigation or something that just never went anywhere?
I think it was a publicity thing.
You mean like everything else that family's involved in?
What? Yeah, you said it, not me.
It is a clock. No, it's not. That kid has a history of stirring crap up prior to this event. So, like, all the signs were there. As soon as those facts started to come out after this case all began.
Yankee Marshall's lost child has been found. He's the clock kid.
No, we're not going on about that clock. That's the story about the kid is done. It's dead.
No,
this
story broke today about the lawsuit. It's back.
Oh, for God.
That's why I said just deport him, send him out.
Yes,
Problem
get rid of
solved.
him.
What they wanted. We'll go back to Qatar. Well, here you go. Here's your tickets.
We need to build a
Yeah,
wall.
the guy's dad actually is running for, either is or was running for the presidency in Qatar.
I should run for presidency of Norway.
Being the president of Qatar is kind of meaningless because it's controlled by. Yeah, I mean, it's not a democracy.
Being the president of a nation that has a $360,000 income per capita for the population is not a bad thing.
Yeah, but you're not like actually in charge of a state or anything. It's controlled by an emir, not a president.
Yeah, it's just a figurehead.
So I also have to point out how the same people who are saying bring all the refugees here, are the people saying we don't want a theocracy, we want a democracy. But these people are coming from theocracies.
Well, they can't have a democracy because America's a republic.
Right.
Maybe they forgot that.
Well, it was a republic until Obama got in charge.
Are we gonna get into the refugees yet, or have you already touched that?
Oh, we haven't touched, but if you want to talk about it, let's go ahead.
All right, so
let's go ahead. Lay it out for us.
All right, so I've got people. I'm not gonna say friends because some of them just are people that I know, but I'm surrounded by people on both sides of the argument, and a couple of them are like retired school teachers and district people, things like that. They're not just your everyday proletariats. They're actual people who have been in professional politics, and some of them are professional just people, schools, teachers, university professors, things like that. Then I've got just people who are gunsmiths, sports figures, people I work with, things like that. So I hear it from like all different angles, and I just can't understand the bleeding heart parts of people talking about how we need to accept all these refugees. And I say this because none of these people would open their doors to a single refugee if martial law was declared and they said, well, you're going to have to house these people. The amendment that prevents us from putting soldiers in your house is going to be temporarily null and void because we need room for refugees. And if any one of those people had to, forcefully have a refugee in their house or in their neighborhood, they'd start to panic. So they're imposing good nature on us. And the worst part is they're too short-sighted to not realize that ISIS are wolves that hide among the sheep. They are an enemy who look like the people we're trying to save. So when you have no definitive way of screening these people and you potentially jeopardize the security of your states and your nation and your people by letting them in, it's not a risk worth taking. Even if you let one of them in an army of 1 million refugees, that's one too many, because that one comes in, and then another one comes in later, and then another one, and another one, and another one, and then they lump together, and then they do something. So I'm not willing to sacrifice the security of the nation just out of good nature, because all it teaches them, refugees in general, is that they never have to solve their own problems. And all they're doing is bringing their problems outside of the borders of, the area that this problem is stemming from. They're bleeding out all their issues to the rest of the world to handle it for them, when they should be able to take responsibility for their own. It's a crap deal. People will die, but at least they'll die fighting and trying. And if they overthrow these people who are making them so scared and terrified, then they've accomplished something, just like we did. Because once upon a time, we were a nation being crushed under the boot of the people we came from. And what did we do? We fought back, and we gained our own independence from it. But they already had their own nation, and it was being destroyed from within, and they just won't get together and mobilize and take care of their own issues, and they want everyone else to do it for them.
Yeah, another thing.
Well, they
when
were
you're
just
at
sitting there
war,
protesting Assad, and they got bombed and gassed with chemicals, and shot at. So
People are gonna die. That's what war is.
that's what Assad is. That's why.
Well,
I got an email today from our Democratic Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard. Who's sponsoring some bill to stop Obama's the CIA's illegal war against Bashar Assad. And I'm like, boy, I sent her a reply.
did you hear today that Francois Hollande was here? They had a joint press conference, and our president said that he is with France, and he is, he's with him in, I guess, hearts and minds and spirit, and that they're going to work together to try harder to screen all flights.
If I was in a war, the last person who I would want on my side is Obama.
Well, here's the thing. They're going
Or
to
France.
be more strict on screening flights. The majority of the refugees that came to France walked right the hell in. There were no planes. What's the point of screening a flight when these people are flocking in on foot?
He was saying they wanted the airlines to share data, people to fly.
What good is that if they're on foot?
Right. They basically that whole conference was it's
Like
just
that
I'm
song, Nobody
I'm
Walks
talking
in
about
LA.
something that no one has any interest in because I want to make it look like I'm important and that I can make decisions that matter. That's all that conference was.
Didn't Missing Persons do a song called Nobody Walks in LA? So LA would be safe.
Yeah, I've been to LA. No one walks there.
do we have any veterans here on our panel?
No.
No.
I was just asking about military strategy. In what world does a country at war have an open border? Any country at war with any other country for any other reason?
They don't. At least in an ideal world.
Yeah, that just seems like the worst military strategy ever of all time.
But remember,
Not necessarily, because if you think about it,
you can recruit more people.
no, during the Second World War, millions of refugees flocked from Nazi-held territories. Millions of them. It wasn't necessarily an open border kind of policy, because everybody in the region was at war, there was no border control. I mean, not like you would see today, at least. They were just trying to get people out.
Here in Hawaii, our border is patrolled by tiger sharks and mosquitoes.
How did I know that was coming?
No, it's
Sea asps.
Shark King.
What, isn't the Pacific Fleet still based there in Hawaii?
I just had a plate of rice and egg rolls, but
Yes, Pearl is still an active base, if that's what you're asking.
That's what I was asking. Yes. So if it's still
Well,
an active base, then
if I'm not mistaken, the carriers, when they go in for refuel, refit, and retrofit, they actually go to New Jersey. I want to say New Jersey, but
Norfolk, Virginia. Norfolk.
it's
is
Norfolk.
it Norfolk? Okay, so yeah, they don't go to Pearl for that, but cruisers,
come here for the
destroyers,
holiday.
things like that. I'd imagine those are still out there.
They just go there for the papaya and the pineapple.
For the hula dancers.
That too.
They're topping off. No, it's just, this whole refugee thing it's such a crap deal because you want to feel sorry for these people, but you can't risk your people to allow them safe harbor because all that's going to do is endanger your population. And when it comes to, do I want to sacrifice my citizens to save that nation's citizens who have nothing for us? They're not an ally to us. We don't do trade with them. We don't build anything for them. We don't sell them anything. They're just another nation that, are a sovereign state that are halfway around the world.
Well, they're Russian clients and Iranian clients, so the Iranians and the Russians should take them all in. See, this is a
That's the
geopolitical
thing.
power
See,
struggle between Iran and Persia and the rest of the world.
it's a precursor to
Iran
a world war
is
what it
Persia.
is.
Yes, well, that's what I'm saying. You ought to be prepared for martial law because I think the plan is that all the central banks are going to print money until the fiat currencies in Europe and Japan and America collapse, and then they'll have martial law, and then Obama will get his third term because the 2016 elections will be suspended, and they'll declare martial law, and then we'll have Obama's third term.
How do you win a war against a superior military force?
Diplomacy.
You don't give them a target to attack. You have them
warfare.
asymmetric warfare. And who did we recently train in the Middle East in asymmetric warfare? Was it everybody? Because it seems like everybody.
The Middle East is the home of asymmetric warfare from going back to Saladin. When Saladin was in Syria, he was attacked and beset by assassins, a religious sect of assassins, and that was their creed. And when he finally had a peace meeting with the top assassin to try and end it all and make a deal, and so it says here's the deal. I'll tell you what what we're prepared to do, but just send everybody else out of the room. And so Saladin sends everybody out of the room except his two top most trusted bodyguards. And then well, you have so the king of the assassins cult says, oh, okay, well, you have to send these guys out. And he says, no, you can tell them whatever you tell me. I trust him. So the assassin looks at both of the guys and says, okay. And so his most trusted guys pull out a knife and put it to Saladin's throat and says, and then the top assassin guys puts up his hand and says, stop. See, Saladin, if I can get my assassins this close to you, you'll never be safe. And that ended the negotiation. So they've been doing asymmetric warfare in Syria long before we were born and long before America existed, so they don't need to learn anything from us about that.
Well, my dad's 80 years old. He was born in one war and he's fought in three. And he's basically of the same mindset I am. He said, there will be a third world war. We're watching the precursor to it now. It's going to take one apex moment to trigger it, which
Well, I think it's already started. It just hasn't. Yeah,
it hasn't been officially named, but the apex moment, which I'll type it in the internal, but I'm not going to say it out loud just because as far as offending certain people will go, that would be paramount. It would be the offense of the year. So I'll just type it in the internal.
Some Russian will get attacked by
It
a
has
shark
nothing
in
to do with
Hawaii.
Russia, which is surprisingly enough.
And then
Because
Putin
if
will
you look at
nuke
the way that
Hawaii.
World War One started, it's something of that nature. It was the pinprick that started, a war, basically.
Yeah, somebody shot somebody, the Archduke Ferdinand of
Right, killed the Yugoslavian
Serbia?
prince.
Yugoslavian prince.
But the thing is the Third World War will be the war that outlaws religion. Because if you really think about it,
I was thinking Third World War would be the war that outlaws central banks.
well, that's probably going to be a byproduct of it, but it will be probably the war that destroys all organized religion as we know it. Because, I mean,
Okay,
the
so I
fact of
have
the
a
matter
question. In the Third
is
World War, here's a practical question: should I be stockpiling ammo or precious metals?
Food.
ammo. You can't trade precious metals in a world that money is useless in. Um, but the point is if you think about it, and this was something I wanted to bring up earlier anyway, to try not to offend people, but
This is the internet. Please go
we've
ahead and
been
offend
so
people.
preconditioned
Offend people.
watching the news of American Muslims, peaceful people who just live and work here every day, telling us that don't be mad at all of us, stop with the Islamophobia, we're not all like that. And, I believe
They
them.
aren't.
I want to
They
believe
aren't.
them. I
They
want to
aren't.
believe them.
I went to
Wait a
elementary
minute.
school with them.
But the thing is they're also saying the same thing abroad. They're like, look, we're not all like that down here. But the thing is if you have a small group of people in your large group of people and they're making you look bad, you beat their ass and you get rid of them internally so the rest of the world doesn't have to constantly be afraid of you or judge you. And
They
I don't
can't
see
do
them
that
getting
in
off
their own
their ass
country.
doing that.
They can't do that in their own countries because the state, the state. Basically, I already explained how this works. How it works is there's the Quran and there's these religious uh, basically people that study, clerics that study the Quran.
Before you go into the
They
order.
have an interpretation.
Right.
Every state has an interpretation of the Quran that because it has to be applied to the modern day because it was written so long ago. It's like you have an Old Testament and New Testament. So each state says, okay, this is our official interpretation of the Quran. It's called the Harif, and so anybody that says anything that contradicts this Harif gets thrown in jail and executed. And if you could say something bad about it on the internet or social media, or you wish you would tweet that they don't like, the police show up at your house, and they don't need a warrant, and
Okay, but
shoot first,
before you get
ask
too far into the
questions later. So
process,
here in America, go ahead.
the thing is we keep being told year after year after year that Iran is a country that's being ruled by an old religious dictatorial fist, and that the youth movement of Iran is very unhappy with their leadership, the way that
Yeah.
they're being run, how they're being sanctioned because of these old guys. We've been told this for at least 2 generations since the Iran, what do they call it, the hostage crisis. There's been 2 generations of children since then.
Well, it's
When
more
is
of
the
a
youth
city
movement
versus the
going to
country.
overthrow a bunch of old people?
It's the city versus the country. It's the less educated people that live in the countryside of Iran that support the mullahs, and there's more of them, but they're less educated. And the people in the cities You know,
Don't give them excuses. They outnumber these people. They could do it
they
if they
had
wanted
a
to. Nobody
revolution.
wants to die
Obama
for it.
didn't even say one word when they were all shouting, God is great from the rooftops and get rid of the Ayatollah and they killed them all. A classic Stalinist move. So they threw them in jail and killed them
Then they're
all.
not
And
going in big enough numbers. There's enough of them, supposedly, but they're just not organized as well as even ISIS.
well,
We're getting too far off. I mean, we can't be talking about toppling Iranian governments because, that just never works, right?
we did it before. We can do it again.
Yeah, well, the problem is this time we don't have Carter in charge.
Like the internal, that's your apex moment. Guaranteed.
Nah.
Yep.
Well, you think
Promise you.
you think Persia's gonna nuke,
Don't say it.
Saudi Arabia?
No, I didn't say who was going to do it.
Well, who else
Because
would nuke Saudi Arabia?
it's that. I'm not talking about nuking the whole country. I'm talking about destroying something very small. It's taking out one symbol, one thing, or one person. Try to keep this vague,
And
and
that's
that
not
will
in
be your
Saudi
powder
Arabia.
keg.
What if I was Persia? What to really wanted to mess Saudi Arabia up? I'd send a cruise missile in to destroy a religious site in Saudi Arabia and leave a bunch of they have an explosion and
Dude, no, it
and
isn't.
leave a bunch of leave a bunch of crosses lying around so they think the Christians did it.
No, 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 no. I mean, that's implying that it's even a religious thing.
Oh,
But
you're talking about the Al-Aqsa. You're talking about the Dome of the Rock?
no, that thing. Anyway, um, that's all it would take, seriously, because then there would just be a gigantic uproar. Like everyone would find an excuse to go to war after that. That's what an apex
Everybody
moment
is
does.
at war already. Who isn't at war at this point? Name me someplace that isn't at war.
Italy.
Japan.
Hawaii.
Yes, we are.
You're at war with albacore tuna.
No, we're at
Bad weather
war
not
with
letting you go to the
pelagic
range.
sea fish.
All right, guys. It's been a great chat. Thank you for having me. I'm gonna head on to bed. Got an early morning gym session tomorrow, and you all take it easy and be safe.
All right.
All right. Later.
But yeah, we got way off topic. But
Does that
I
count
still,
as a miss?
well, it's either hit or miss. That's what the show is. But yeah, we got a lot of good input today. We talked about a couple of things. Got off topic, but hey, that happens.
Well, it's been an hour.
It has been an hour.
Time
So-
flies when you're having World War III.
There you go.
Well, time flies when you're getting blown out of the sky by turkeys.
Yeah. Oh, I need to put up the picture again of the plane.
Yeah, let's end it on the
It was a
plane.
great picture.
All right. We were just Hawkeye Forge just left us, but I want to thank Hawaii Volcano Squad for showing up. I want to thank Sean for being here when he could.
Appreciate it.
And as always, I'm Night Strike, and
We want
this
to thank
was-
all the turkeys out there.
we want to thank all the turkeys out there. We want to tell all the Russians to watch out for the Americans or the turkeys. Probably the turkeys because they show more action than we do these days. Thank Obama for that. But anyways, thanks for listening. And this was Hit or Miss.